Okay. Patch 8.4 notes. This is where I'm going to start talking about my... Oh, this is the patch 8.4 rundown where I talk about the new patch as well as Kaisa, which I guess is the new champion, which, by the way, I play tested. So before we get into this patch, this is relatively big. The one thing I'm not going to cover here is the overall API itemization thoughts. I'm not going to go too deep into them because I've already covered them on stream in an earlier thing specifically. Aside from that, what did I want to see here? Stopwatch time increased. I wanted to see that was the only thing, to be honest, and Zoe nerfs, and I think I got them both. And so let's see what I can get here. So AP itemization power spikes occur. Follows a pretty simple decision-making tree? Yes, it does. Morello's OP and everything builds Morello's into haunting guys because Pen's OP too. So double Pen Morello's is the best combination of items in the game, and every champion builds it if they can. Pretty much. Which is disgusting, actually. When you have Haunting, which gives health and AP, and does more burst than stuff like Lichbane, in the more immediate bursts than stuff like Lichbane, it's a problem. And Riot realizes that and it's nerfing that shit to the ground. Thank God. So what do they do? A lot of it is that they're nerfing Lost Chapter, which is really good. Huge good thing, because Lost Chapter was just too early of a spike for too efficient of the price. It gave now it gives CDR, but it's just giving too much mana sustain for the cost that it was giving. Ludes now gives you bunch of random poke. It's the same thing, but with CDR. 20% CDR. Sick. Just as glass candy as before you lose the move speed. The important stuff is probably that you get 20% CDR on a lot of the major items. So they CDR creeped a lot this time. I think that's okay. My general thoughts on CDR creep is that it's really scary to balance around, because you're balancing around champions naturally having 30% CDR, 20 to 30% CDR, with a normal assumption on every champion in the game, something like that. And I think that's just, it cheapens the idea of having cooldown in the first place, or having cooldowns in the first place, in my opinion. And it makes it so that they retroactively have to go, and if they have to nerf a champion or buff a champion, it's to be nerfing or buffing, like, for instance, ult cooldowns, or like important spell cooldowns, because, well, like, this champion got super overtuned with the idea that he has consistent 20% CDR on this ability, which has definitely happened a lot in the past. You'll see a lot of balancing around champions being ulti cooldown balance, and stuff like Malzahar is a really good example of that. You have what's off the top of my head? I'm just missing. I don't remember actually the other stuff. But just trust me that there's a lot of old cooldown nerfs is how they balance, or buffs is how they balance certain champions. And you have to realize that a lot of that comes to the fact that, like, yeah, you have to balance around the state where there's a lot of CDR in the game. Zed, Lux, Ornn. Yeah. You guys know the deal. You guys are smart people. Anyways, keep going. GLP. So the most important thing about this item, the only thing I really care about, is the fact that there's no more cast animation on this item. Holy shit. This is literally the only thing I care about. So before, if you played GLP, it stunned you for a quarter second. You could not move, or immobilized you for a quarter second. When you're casting, you could not move. And I actually hated it.
It's a clean room? Holy shit.
Hey, what's up?
You have a clean room?
Hey.
I've been watching you feed on stream a little bit.
Wait, oh god. Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, I doctored your playstyle, so I got bronze 5 in league.
Oh my, wait.
I'm kidding.
Come on, Nendo.
Like bronze 3.
Okay.
I'm kidding. So.
I mean, that's not hard, but... Alright, leave my room. I'm trying to do my important patch rundown. You guys are interrupting.
Are you streaming?
My patch site.
How's your piano going?
Yes.
Wait, can I leak something?
No, leave my stream.
Can I leak something?
No, leave my stream. Okay, anyways. Editor, whoever's editing this, if it's Wafster, cut this out. Alright, God bless. So anyways, okay, back to the top, guys. Welcome to our patch 8.4. But yeah, the most important thing about GLP is you cut the cast animation, which actually pissed me off a lot. In all actuality, it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but for usability reasons, it made me feel really, 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 really bad about using it as a personal preference. Maybe that's just me, but I know I talked to a lot of other people about this, and they actually thought that it was annoying as well. And so them removing that, great. 20% CDR on it, great. You know, like a lot of people like the CDR. Actually, one of the main users of GLP, which may not need the CDR as much, Soul, which typically doesn't require tons of CDR, might be one of the champions that actually needs it the least. But and especially with the loss of health, this might be a nerf for him. But one of the interesting things is the fact that it actually has a huge range increase. It got increased by 200, even though the cone got narrower and the slow got decreased. The actual like how long it shoots is quite a bit. Meaning that you can get it on champions that don't even typically have to get into close range as much as before. It's an interesting option. It's something that might have been due to the fact that there's been a lot of range creep in the game, and so a lot. I'm not. Before I get too sidetracked on the patch notes, one of the bigger problems in the game is the fact that rapid fire exists. Just in general, rapid fire and the combination of rapid fire with Shiv gives ADs a poke. It's a poke spell on the cooldown, is what it is. A free harass, free poke spell, and a free siege spell on the cooldown. It gives them a safety in team fights. Range is a really, really, really important stat. It's probably one of the most important stats in the game. And I don't think people really talk about it enough, the fact that range is actually... It's one of the biggest problems in the game where it's like you have to deal with champions that have, 700 range harass and 700 range constantly. And so stuff like, GLP increasing 200 range may be one of the ways that Riot's looking to counteract that by giving people more tools to be able to cover more ranges. However, I feel like this is kind of more of a band-aid effect. I would hope that in the future, rapid fire gets like a large nerf, or it's not built on everyone. So we don't live in a world where they buy, Shiv rapid fire every game, every AD, and immediately every AD has, poke, harass, sustain off fleet, and like high move speed. Maybe it's just a personal problem of mine, but I think that that's one of the really, really big balance issues in the game is the fact that one of the highest carry roles that also gets one of the most support through having support, an actual role called support, helping them, as well as one of the hardest carrying roles in the game also gets, one of the best ranges in the game. Oh, and they get free wave clear. Let's just throw that shit on top. Anyways, let's keep going. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Archangels, this gives you insane amount of mana. I think it gives you 1400 mana. All these things, by the way, great for champions that use a ton of mana. I think Victor's Q shield scales off mana now. Maybe I think you'll like stuff like this. Rise, of course, loves stuff like this. Probably gonna need to get nerfs before the next patch, because he's probably gonna be broken on this patch. Rise is always broken. Let's be real. This champ is pretty much unbalanceable. Moving on, Liandry's is really, really interesting. The one thing I didn't note before was that it doesn't give flat pen anymore, but it gives maximum health damage at all ticks. And so if you're a dot champion, you pick up Liandry's, you're gonna give them a lot of pain. Champions like Brand will love this. Champions that can do large, consistent amounts of damage will love this as well. Great stuff. Haunting guys increases the damage you deal up to 2% per second until exiting combat. Yeah, they added this new keyword onto Haunting in this. It's supposed to benefit dots as well. It's supposed to benefit champions that don't poke, rather than you staying in the fight consistently. So I think the highest value it hits after 5 seconds in combat. 4 or 5 seconds is a long time. It's something that's hard to achieve without, you know, hitting stuff like dots that stay around probably the full duration. So like more situational item, but the biggest thing about the item changes is that you won a lot of items in the game. Like hopefully Riot gives a lot of these item reworks to a bunch of the classes so that, you know, ADs don't have to go double zeal items every game into IE. And top laners don't have to go like Triforce Sterix every game, and mid laners don't have to go Morellos. You want to have these options so that they can have more interesting counterplay, not just through champion counters, but also like items as well. Like it makes it so that you feel like you have more control of the game through options in game as well. Of course, that creates balance nightmares, but I'd rather they attempt than not. I was continuing on. The pen went to Morellos. One of the bigger things to note is the fact that this got grievous wounds, and I talked about this before. I think grievous wounds is something that Riot gave away for free too easily, and it hard countered a lot of champions. I think especially in this situation, AP champs are probably less annoying with it. Anything else, because you have to finish a full Morellos for it. But I like the fact that, you know, it hits on full rather than on any percentage. So it's like a very situational thing when you're playing against a Soraka, when you're playing against a Swain, Aurelia, Zac, you know, something that does a lot of healing. And again, I like situational items. Does the same stuff as it does before, but no longer grants mana back. Okay, never mind. It does none of the same stuff that it did before, except for it gives you flat pen and this unique passive. Whoever's editing this, cut everything I said before that. Anyways, completely new item. Great job, Riot Games. Oblivion Orb. Because flat pen is cool, not just for Landry's Torment line, it gives another flat pen. Oh, it builds into... Ruby Crystal. Did I read this wrong? This builds into... Where is the Oblivion Orb built into? Oh, it builds into Morellos. That's what I thought. Okay. So it's just a build path into Morellos, which costs 1,500. It's the old Haunting Guys build path. All right, cool. We're going to keep going. I wonder if there's a situation where you would half the Morellos into Oblivion Orb because, you know, flat pen is so good. And it gives you the same stats as before, and it finishes off later. Hopefully, we don't live in a world where that's the OP thing to do, but I could see it where people just half the Oblivion Orb into getting something else. Oh, that's gonna be... Is that really how... Shit, right. Did you do this right? Oh, this gives health. It doesn't show it anymore. They just bugged out, or it doesn't graphically show it. I'm wondering, did anything change from the... Okay, the main build path right now is you can go Lost Chapter, Haunting, Sorc Shoes. You get double pen, Lost Chapter, and you finish into Morellos, right? Did that actually change? Could you still do that? You go Lost Chapter, Oblivion Orb, well, new name, and then you pick up Sorc Shoes. And the gold value is 200 more, but you get 10% CDR. Huh. I hope Riot nerfs this item. Okay, that's very early for me to say that. Let's just say I hope Riot very much watches this item, because if There's a reason why the current build path is so strong, and that's because Magic Pen is so powerful. I think it'd be a lot better to have like scaling flat pen where the flat pen scales up into something more powerful, or potentially have weaker stats on the Oblivion Orb. But when you're given like another the old haunting guys and renamed it, it's still like was one of the most powerful spikes in the game. Something that they should keep an eye on. Spellbinder, nearby allied and spell minions charge Spellbinder up to a cap. It's a team fighting AP only thing that gives you no health, no mana. So it's something you want to buy if you don't need sustain and you just need raw AP to your team fight a lot. Okay, situational item, but pretty cool. Maybe, I don't think it's that great if you split push. And Twin Shadows when you're, oh, this is the old Spooky Ghost. It just came back. It's a support item, but might see some play mid at the cost that's given at 2400. I guess we'll see. Especially with the active. The active's always been like relatively undervalued, I would say. And it's cool that they have this back into the game now. Some of the stuff that's really nice, Void Staff, they nerfed the AP. This item's too good. You would get Void Staff over Death Cap 100% of the time in almost all AP values. So now if they don't go, even if they only got like half an MR item, you would still go it. If they had 50 MR, you'd still go Void Staff. I think bumping that value up is something Riot should do because it gives people the option to go stuff like large rod, Death Cap. If they're not stacking AP, I think it's a good option. And then Rally's got buffed because it's bad right now. But it's bad because I would say Haunting is so good. And so with that in mind, I think nerfing the current OP mid lane build would automatically make Rally's better. Something that they should keep in mind when buffing stuff. I'm sure they thought about it though. Alright, now on to the actual important stuff. AP itemization. And I have AP itemization on the top lane. Too many champions are coasting their way through lane phase without needing to interact with their opponent. We're telling them health and sustain in some of these picks, as well as weakening their stuff, where it also changes to press the attack. Sure. W cooldown decrease at early ranks, W damage increase at later ranks, W E armor pen increase. As the Juggernaut has damage as his main output, currently he could use some more. They have to nerf him level 1. Was he OP at level 1? Why was there even a need for there to be a cooldown nerf here? Were too many Dariuses coming in and like crushing people? Is that the problem? Oh, it's a buff early. I read this wrong. Holy moly. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit tired. It's actually a large buff early. 2 seconds off, and the thing about W is it goes down a second for each bleed stack you have on the target, which is a really, really big buff. And then the armor pen goes up. I actually think this is great. This is not a good meta for Darius. Darius is the perennial tank killer. Darius heals off tanks, stacks stuff on them, and then because tanks can't kill stuff quick, he builds up stacks, turns around and mauls you. So if he can't kill tanks, he can't do his job. And I think that he's been poor at killing tanks. So give him more armor pen, buffing up a little bit. Good job, good stuff. Gameplank. He's still not going to be great right now because there's not tanks. But as soon as tanks start seeing more play, him being situationally used is a possibility. Gameplay. Key mana cost increase at early ranks. Great. 20 mana. Holy shit. Wow. That's a huge nerf. Jesus. Barrel is no longer grant vision of other units. Duration 25 seconds. Good. This champ is OP right now. Get him out. He's like this is a problematic champion because Klepto exists. What? And or he was before. He can still use grasp. I don't know. He's such a weird champion to me because this champion exists because he's good because he gets ahead of the item curve before anyone else. So he's balanced around getting an item or half an item ahead of the farthest person ahead of the enemy team, because his Q gives him extra gold. And so any champion that's gonna be balanced around having more items than the other team is gonna get balanced weirdly. Sometimes he's in states where he's too good because he can't get punished for that, early game, and this goes crazy. So they're nerfing him a lot here. And whatever, get him out of the meta. I don't want to see gameplay again. I'm bored of him already. Nar's probably one of the biggest offenders of champions that are just way too good. Does everything. He's a tank built into a bruiser, like a lane bully, and he's got tanky initiation potential as well. That's why he's been such a staple of a professional play since I think it's his inception. He's always done really well unless the enemy top laner has like Aurelia or Yasuo potentially in their champ pool, and even then it's like not that bad. So they lowered the cooldown refund on Q, and they am I still tired? Why did they buff his E? What's the point? No, I'm serious. What's the point? The 30 damage buff is actually huge early, too. It's a buff, so he's forced to jump in, but that's not actually the case, right? It's just like I feel like it's a buff because they're afraid of nerfing him too hard. That's whatever. I'm just surprised they ended up buffing this. Ornn, W shield duration increased, cooldown decreased at early ranks, damage increased early, decreased late. Okay, Jesus. Ornn's actually a little bit hard to play right now because a lot of people are counterpicking tanks quite a bit. And so even though he's a great tank, him getting more nerfs, more and more nerfs is going to be a problem. So at this point, he's 4 seconds up on cooldown in this. He got his damage nerfed. His shield duration got buffed. Brittle duration got nerfed. So the only buff was here. Okay. Searing charge. Base damage got increased. Oh, 260. Oh. Wait. But the overall damage got nerfed. So he just sucks. I would have been okay for them to transfer more damage toward his E. Like if you hit someone with the charge because you landed a great Q, if they shifted like percentage damage over to his E or something like that, I think that's a better way to balance Ornn. I read that somewhere and I was like, huh, I agree with that. I think that's a good way to reward skill. If you're next to a wall against Ornn or he hits a Q on you and you don't position well into it, then he deserves the extra damage. I think that's great. I think that them just nerfing this champion by everything but shield duration here, he's already gonna be... I think he's already outpaced by Sion. He's hit a lot of nerfs already, and he's getting to the point where I'm scared for him. 4 seconds, especially early, is crazy. He got hit with a nerf bat really hard. Really, really hard. Yeah, I think Sion's just the best tank in the game right now. Poppy. Passive damage increase at early levels, E damage increase. And as I say that, Riot buffs one of the old OP top laners. E damage got doubled on Slam. Small buff. It's nice. I don't think Poppy needs too much to be great again, especially with Ornn being nerfed. The thing about Poppy was Poppy's always situationally good against a couple of champions because their W's so unique at stopping like gap closers. So Poppy's always been good against stuff like Zaki, great against stuff like LeBlanc W, great against stuff like Callista. Callista like moving because her passive just triggers it, right? And so Kha'Zix's E, Lee Sin, and so as long as Poppy is like above, I'd prefer Poppy to be like a situational tank where you can pick it into stuff like that because she's great at shutting down comps like that, as opposed to her being the best tank in the game. And I don't think she's gonna get there with these buffs. Renekton, Q damage increased at later ranks, and power Q damage increased. Oh, okay. I think Renekton needs some buffs. He's supposed to be a lane bully because his scaling isn't great, and he's not bullying lane that well. So there's a little bit more power to him, and I think that he deserves it at this moment. Counter-Strike no longer delays briefly before blocking attacks. Fix a bug where Counter-Strike could take up to 0.025 seconds to take effect. Right through the Counter-Strike. Right, dude. You guys are funny. Alright. Whoever wrote these, you're a funny guy. Frozen Mallet. Range basic attacks slow for less. So this is the other Gnar nerf. This might as well be put on the Gnar right here because he's the one who uses this the most consistently among all the top laners. And this is what made Gnar such an OP champion because you just couldn't get away from him with Frozen Mallet Cleaver. I think nerfing the slow range is great balance for it, and I think that this is a pretty big Gnar nerf. Like, I don't really care about the E stuff. I just thought this was funny. But I like both the Gnar nerfs that came in. I think that definitely that's a champion that deserves to be nerfed. Champions, Eve. E damage increase. Last patch's nerfs on Eve went too hard. I haven't seen much Eve recently, so maybe that's true. Fiddlesticks, E cooldown decrease at early ranks. E bonus damage to monsters increase. Bonus damage to minions removed. R damage decreased. So he does more damage to jungle camps, less damage to lane minions. Oh, he's got a huge ulti buff. Holy shit. When it's like, oh, we're buffing the cooldown decrease, or we're decreasing the cooldown, I thought it's like, oh, okay, you know, we're giving him like 10 seconds off. That's usually what Riot does. We'll give him 10 seconds off. They gave him 10, 30, 50 seconds off. Meaning that, especially with how much CDR you get on APs right now, assuming Fiddle gets even like 20% CDR, he's getting like 60 second, 1 minute cooldown on a great, like a super impactful ulti. Dang, that's a huge buff to Fiddlesticks. That's great. I think Fiddle's a champion where players want to be in that position. Like, he's very much gated, especially mid-late game, by his ultimate. Without his ulti, he's not very effective. And I think that, what is it that right? Let's say player fantasy. Fiddle's player fantasy is like he wants the ulti. And I think that identifying that and buffing it by even this much is great because this champion sucks, to be honest. Outside the mid lane where he's like stupid, which actually got kind of nerfed by this, which I think is funny. Actually, he got slightly buffed for support too, which I think is funny because you don't want to shove with support that much. So slightly better for support, a lot better for jungle. It's cool. Callista, base damage and range decreased. Base attack speed and attack speed per level increased. Now W now grants attack damage instead of attack speed when Callista is near her O sword.
Come on, don't notice me so hard.
Dude, okay. Here, alright. So speaking about 80s, in this patch rundown, we brought in a special 80s specialist to talk about it.
Oh, you actually are doing your patch rundown right now?
Base Yuna. Talk to me about Callista losing 50 attack range.
Oh, she really did?
She lost 25 attack range.
Dead champ. Done playing this bitch champ. 25? I mean, still more range than Lucian, I guess.
Holy shit.
Jesus. Well, I'm pretty sure she's not going to be played anymore. I don't know, range nerfs really just make people cry. I know, I'm crying. Jesus.
How does it feel playing this champion against Tristana with Rapid Fire?
I know. Tristana gets like 2 items and then, I mean, you're not winning.
So, you heard it from him first. This champion, remember when I told you guys about range? Range, big fucking deal. Callista can't buy Rapid Fire. Her kit revolves around her being close range. And so she's a champion that her range nerfs, she's literally Lucian now. Which should tell you something. So I don't mind having low range threats, but I think her in a world where everyone's buying rapid fire is like a terrible world for her to be in. So I'm kind of worried. Unless she can smash lane with these changes, I don't think she's getting much. Kog'Maw maximum. Kog'Maw got nerfed like 7% win rate in that last patch, give or take. It's pretty bad. Like, that nerfed a lot. So anyways, they thought they nerfed it too much. They're rebuffing it back a little bit. Fine, whatever. Give them back a little bit of power. I'm still a little bit worried about Kog'Maw because like each percent of W that they nerf or buff, it gets multiplied because of Rage Blade, right? Because Kog'Maw is like the biggest Rage Blade abuser with Varus. It's just something you have to keep in mind. But yeah, I think Kog'Maw could use this small buff. Rengar, this is holy shit. I'm just not playing League today. Oh my god. This is bigger than the preseason notes. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Rengar, reverted to pre-rework paradigm, base attack damage scaling. Okay. I think the current Q on Rengar is stupid. He literally does this like swimming motion where he's like this. I think it's stupid. A lot of the Rengar players think it's stupid, but actually I don't even think there's a but. You still die in one hit from the Rengar Q. I'm not gonna lie. So nothing really changed. And I don't think anything's gonna change either from this new thing. If anything, I'm looking at this because I looked at some of the changes when August 1st released the revert back to Q. And so what are you guys talking about? Hello? And what ended up happening was I just think he's still gonna have the one-shot potential. Like I don't think anything's gonna be changed from any of this. The leap range got slightly reduced, right? By 150. Once Rengar is getting stacked from 3 enemy champions on Twisted Tree Line. Oh, I don't care about Twisted Tree Line. It's the old Reaver. His W cooldown got buffed. Rengar vision score. Rengar. Oh, he got 20% move, up to 20% more move speed. That's pretty good. He doesn't automatically crit off his leap, but his ultimate now deals 30% total AD as bonus damage and shreds armor. I guess that's the way to do it. I think that's... I don't know. I just don't think this play pattern on this champion has ever been like super healthy if he's very strong. Because he either one hits you, he's been either unkillable Rengar cat tank, or he's just one hit you instantly. We're talking like literally one hit, uncounter playable. You can't flash it. One of the things they're trying to do is that he can't auto crit off his stuff, which I think will help. And he shreds armor, and they're like trying to shift it to that where like he'll do damage. More damage the way he stays on you with this armor shred, which is, I guess, a good way to do it. But the thing is, maybe I'm just overthinking stuff. Maybe in this game there needs to be the ability to kill stuff without retaliation, because there's stuff that can save you technically on the leap. You know, you can get like Kench eaten. You have stopwatch in the game. Zhonya's exist. There's GA. There's Locket. There's shields. You can kind of react to the jump a little bit. There's decreased jump range. I think this is a safer version than the crit version, and I think that I don't mind it if assassins are a little bit stronger. You know, I think Riot's tried so hard to break up assassin play patterns into being like, Well, we have to hit them once. And then after hitting them once, we have to wait 3 seconds for this Fizz Shark to apply a portrait of, like, the fish he loved to apply above their head. And then, like, you then hit him with the trident to do extra damage. And it's just, like, so much of a pain in the ass to work around waiting for your assassin play pattern to give the enemy team a chance to play around it. That I think they went too far in this direction over with the assassin rework, and they made a lot of champions feel terrible to play. Fizz and LeBlanc are really good examples of that. And so I'm glad that even though there's potential where this could be a problem, I'm glad they're considering it. Zoe doesn't count, guys. She's not an assassin, remember, guys? She is a long-range poke champion. Attack damage per level decrease, Q damage decrease. Strongest users of press the attack, which would press attack increase. Half attack needs to lose some of its power. Okay, it loses AD, loses some bite. Fair enough. Let's see the PTA stuff before we make more comments. Swain, mana cost decrease at early ranks. Cool. R base heal increased. Cool. Health threshold to reactivate R decreased. Cool. So yes, the W costs a lot of mana. I really couldn't afford to trade with it early. That's why I put 2 points in the Q early instead of 1 into W unless I'm only a level 3. Cooldown soul fragments are fully refunded if Swain dies into cool. Oh, nice! The cooldown's refunded. And soul frag. Good stuff. Ulti now properly reduces cooldown. Threshold to reactivate. It got decreased a little bit. Air effects. I really like this. This felt so bad if you couldn't pop it. But this plus the slight additional heal, I like it. I like it. I don't think Swain needs too much. These are really, really nice to play. Talent, base armor decreased. Base magic resist increased. Oh, this is just a buff. But he's like slightly worse against 80s mid, but I never play against 80s mid. Great. Really, really good. I love it. This champion sucks to play right now. All I do is I play Predator, Talon, and just roam to other lanes because I can never trade against mid lane. Pretty much. If they have any idea of how this space against my W. Trist R cooldown increased. Trist's ability to peel for herself is too consistently available. Agreed? Good nerf. Twitch, E base damage decreased. Twitch is one of the strongest users of press the attack despite not being the rune most players take on them. With the power increase to press the attack, he needs to lose some base damage. Wow, he lost a lot of base damage. Okay. They admit it's not the rune that most Twitch users go. I think I've seen a lot of Fleet. I think Fleet's better than Press. So they nerfed him for the wrong reason, in my opinion. That's so strange. I mean, maybe they just thought Twitch was so good, but that seems like the wrong reason to nerf this champion. Volibear. Okay, this champion sucks. Probably the worst champion in the game and deserves a rework. Let's see what they did. Okay, move speed increases per level. Even more move speed per level. Great. When Volibear changes direction toward any champion in the other direction, his buzz move speed now decays over 1 second rather than falling off immediately. In other words, dodging weaving won't slow you down as much. Oh, that's so weird. That's cool. It means you can juke while you're running up to people. But that's I don't even know how they even made this ability work in the game. That's so weird. Frenzy cooldowns have to use on mini initial to monsters as previously. I never played them top lane, so I guess this is irrelevant to me. But I get better for top laners, you know, and laners. Slightly knocks enemies back, kind of cool. Enemies who are dashing or airborne before Roar is cast are dealt additional magic damage. Really cool. So what ends up happening is you want to flip them into your E, and then that will do additional damage. So he's got like kind of a combo skill now, you know, mechanical outplay, and I like it. Okay, he's got buffs. He's still got kind of a problem where he's just Defensively, he doesn't have any steroids in his kit outside of his passive. But if he's meant to be more an aggressive bruiser, then that's okay. He just falls off super hard, like disgustingly hard, and I don't think any of these help. But he's definitely better, so I can't complain. And they said he needs a rework, so yeah, that's just gonna need to happen soon. Sin's out, passive damage decreased. Oh my god, his passive damage got gutted by 35%. 5 to 35%. That's a lot. Base damage cast time decreased by 0.1. Now originates from original cast. W is more fluid, great. Short range dashes while correctly moves sends out to target. Okay, so because pressing attack's getting buffed, he's getting nerfs. And this is a champion that uses pressing attack very well. Let me see what pressing attack is. But okay, that's fine. Our cooldown decreased at later ranks. Over time, supports and marks have picked up better tools to prevent deaths or burst. Yes. This makes Zed players feel worse about trying to make plays. Yes. So then, great. Any buffs to assassins, I'm all behind. Zoe. So this is a big change list. We're nerfing the most frustrating parts of Zoe. Her level 5 wave clear, where she clears the backline for free. Great. Sleep equal down. Great. Q paddle star damage. Great. Health buff. That's fine if they're nerfing everything about her. Her ratio, her base damage no longer applies passive damage past the first enemy hits. Can no longer drop teleports. Oh god, they're just oh, this is great. So the passive got buffed, which means I think they want there to be more of a thing with, especially the extra move speed on W early and the extra AP ratio, which is kind of interesting. But thank God, Jesus Christ, this champion needs to be nerfed. Extra damage. Yeah, I got nothing more to say. This champion needed to be nerfed a long time ago. She's way too good at everything and was the best mid laner in the game. And was the best range assassin in the game too. Extra damage to minions. We're worried that removal of old runes would make lastly too hard, so we gave all champions a bonus 5 damage over lane opponents over time. It's become clear that this wasn't necessary. We're referring to that change. Basic attacks no longer deal 5 bonus damage to lane minions. Wow, this is actually a pretty big deal. People are gonna miss a lot of CS off this. Huh. People are not gonna see this in the patch notes. Extra coin line, now with move speed. Okay, cool. Nice. Health decreased. They thought it was too powerful. Okay. Tracker's knife, mandatory in professional play, removed. I hope zombie ward gets taken care of. This will be interesting. Not sure what to think of it, and definitely in solo queue it doesn't matter. No one uses because they want to kill stuff. But in competitive play, I don't know. It's definitely has huge ramifications. I just don't know how much. If it's good or bad, even should be good. Sorry, except for Lee Sin, of course, and Jack Shuckle. Wits End, cost decrease, on hit damage increase. It's consistently stronger in range champions and melee, and that straight prevents us from making a viable item on basic attack. Bruisers who may want to pick it up. Splitting up the two should balance this item. So range champions still half the MR, but up to the same amount. Okay. Alright. Range champions will still want this. It's a little bit cheaper, and I think, yeah, it's good that they made it so range champions get less benefit from this. It's something where you situationally want to buy against APs. Like, you're really a risk rumble with and not a bad idea. Stuff like that. Precision. Stats are now split between attack speed and sorcery or domination. Okay, wow, they're 50-15 the bonus again. Not sure if that's good or bad. Damage decrease, damage amp decrease at early levels. Isn't pulling its weight on melee bruisers. We've been hesitant to buff it thanks to its lane strength and dual lanes. We're pulling back the amp at early levels so we can put more raw damage to the keystone. Oh god, the amp is 4% at level 1. What the heck? Oh, it's supposed to make it so bruisers feel more better about this item. This has become the bruiser keystone. I get it. Okay, right. You got my attention. And they nerfed it for bot laners. We'll see how it works, actually. It's pretty interesting. A lot of ADs are going push, so it's probably not a big deal. Or fleet, sorry. And so top lanes just go, bruisers just go push. Bot laners go fleet. And what's the third one? Push, fleet. Huh. Oh, tempo. That's like the Callista Kog'Maw, Varus. Sorry. I can't believe I forgot that. Alright, it's no problem. Resolve. The new bone plating has been added to Resolve. Several runes moved to different rows. Feels pretty unsatisfying, so we're looking to create more dynamic ways to improve its user's durability. Unflinching has been moved to Vitality. After taking damage from enemy champions, the next 3 spells or attacks against you do 20 to 50 less damage. Wow. Anti-poke aggression thing. Cooldown 45 seconds. Really interesting. Really good for laning. 4 runes. Second wind has moved here. Oh, this is the first one. Oh, this is sick too, because you don't want to flinching, demolish, or final life if you're soul laning, but all of a sudden you get this option. So you can choose demolish if you're like expected to push, or you can choose bone plating for lane. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. That's crazy. Okay. Inspiration. This is the no longer grants increased potion duration. I'll be completely honest. I don't know why it ever did this. I think Riot just wanted to be like, inspiration is the cool, quirky tree. So we're gonna have it do cool, new, quirky shit. And then they did that, and then they were like, wait, that doesn't do anything for us. Like, we don't really want that. It's kind of where I feel like Klepto came from. Riot at first was like, Klepto is sick, dude. You can get anything you want, potentially, from Klepto. And it's just like, well, I mean, technically you could. But in all honesty, players just want bags of gold. And if you get a lot of bags of gold, you suddenly just RNG the game to death. And so it became like a bit, like, inspiration just become a big balance problem in general, right? With you know, you got Klepto, you got Spellbook already being nerfed and potentially being changed in a later patch, because it's literally just used for summoner CDR pretty much. Yeah, so it's pretty much a nightmare tree, because Riot wants to have a tree that does cool stuff. And while I can't fault them for that idea, it's just balance-wise very hard to live up to. Commencing stopwatch transformed the stopwatch at... Whoa! Oh, the potions elixirs last 20% longer. While under the effect, you get 5% move speed. Oh, they added this and they removed Celestial Body. This is so weird. Cool if you're going certain top laners that go Corrupting Potion, I guess. Or mid laners. But I can't believe they went to 10 minutes. I thought they were going to 8. Because 10 minutes is really long. I thought 6 to 8 was like a pretty good nerf to start it off with, but they just decided to, like, you know, just hit you with it immediately and put you to 10 minutes off the bat. And I think that you know what? I say go for it. I don't like the state where stopwatch is at the moment. I think it's way too short, right? And Riot agrees, obviously. And so I'd rather them put it at 10 minutes and be like, you know what? We messed up. Let's go back to 8. Then put it at 8 and be like, you know what? It could go to 10. Because I think that it needs to be, the game needs to be shaken up a little bit. Blast Cone. This is actually a huge change. So the first spawn of the Blast Cone spawns, it used to spawn at 2 minutes, okay? So you would do 1 clear in the jungle and Blast Cone your way over the wall. That's just how it worked. Now you do one clear of the jungle, and it's still not there. And in fact, on your second clear of the jungle, it'll be there at 5 minutes. That's crazy. Like halfway through your second clear, right? 5 minutes is when the plant comes up. That means that you can look to cover a lot of like area with. You can push up the ward deeper here against junglers that can't go over the side. Junglers have to use like maybe this path to go gank up here now. And I think that I agree with them. I think the blast plants came on the way too early, and it also made it so invading had like an easier escape path as well. I like that they nerfed this quite a bit. Ancient Krugs no longer take reduced damage from ranged basic attacks. Okay. I didn't even know this was in the game. Wow. Hand the Baron buff bonus ability increase. Baron buff stat increased more later in the game. Baron buff now buffs caster minions durability. Late game Baron buff should be hugely impactful, allowing a team which takes them to successfully siege those tough inhibitor turrets. It doesn't look like it's taking its job well enough, so we're bumping up the damage it provides the later it goes. Bonus buff. Ooh, 80 AP at 40 minutes. Holy shit. Riot does not want 60-minute games. So pretty much what happens in the competitive games right now, a lot of them. Who's the biggest offender of this in Korea right now? Is it Kingzone? I think it is. I watched a couple. Was it a couple of Kingzone games that went 60 minutes? Anyways, there's a lot of games right now that are going the distance. And it's gotten to the point where like it's just really more. It's really important to turtle, and you just want. Oh, it's Jin Air? Okay, dear God. Whoops, wrong team. Anyways, it's definitely getting to the point where Gathering Storm is getting a lot more value than it should in competitive play, and Riot wants to encourage people to fight at stuff, which makes sense, right? You don't want to reward turtling. They're doing this. They're buffing minions. They're making it so that pretty much you want to contest your Baron, and they're buffing Elder Dragon so that pretty much effective Elder Dragons are like humongously strong. Eventually, you're gonna get to the point where you have to contest these buffs, or a team should not be able to lose with both of these buffs, even sieging wise. Honor stats. Okay, well that's not relevant to me. Avoided the scoreboard layout changes from last patch. Hey, that wasn't that bad. That was a lot worse. Oh. Wow, Dragon Master Swain. I'm gonna buy that skin. That skin's cool too. This patch had a lot of great things in it. I think AP itemization is gonna be really nice to try out. Biggest part of that for me, Lost Chapter nerf is really good. I'm worried about the Oblivion Orb just being the second Haunting guys and the same build path being strong. But aside from that, I'm really interested to try stuff out. The Void Staff nerf was great, super good, and generally liked everything they did up with stuff up there. Love the Gameplay nerf, love the Gnar nerf. Thought the Ore nerf was overkill. Love the Frozen Mallet nerf. Hashinshin got memed here. Kalista, I think, got over nerfed. Rengar, I think it's nice they reverted this stuff. I love the Talon buff, actually. I think Talon's probably been consistently my best solo queue champion. For some reason, I just feel like I play really, really well with the champion. I understand how to roam with the champion very well as well. And I'm glad Volibear got buffed as well. I'm humongously grateful Zoe got hard nerfed and slapped into the ground. Love this. Probably one of the biggest changes in the patch, which is the stopwatch nerf. Like this a lot. The Blast Cone nerf. Like the Hand the Baron play. Actually, I do agree that I think it should end games, but in solo queue, these changes aren't that impactful. generally good patch. I like pretty much everything I saw this patch. Read the Zoe bug fix. Is it a fix where it can no longer ignore unit collision for the rest of the game after using her ulti? Is this it? Oh. I didn't realize that was a thing. Well, I didn't even realize that was a thing. That's a nice nerf, but I mean, not really relevant, to be honest. It's cool, it's nice, but... Anyways, let's go look at Kaisa. Kaisa? Sure. Anyways, let's go look at Kaisa. Daughter of the Void. To survive among predators, Kaisa must became one. Stranded for years with no hope of rescue, Kaisa endured through sheer will and symbiotic second skin adapted from a living void creature. Now the Daughter of the Void emerges an apex hunter torn between two worlds, the one that birthed her and the one that made her. Bro, I just wanted to make an attractive female champion. Come on, let's be real. When I saw how many people were happy that this champ got released, I was like, man, Riot made another money maker. Riot Games, you dog. You're gonna just make a shitload of money. Alright, personally, I played the champion, played tested her, did not play her in a full game, but I did spend like probably 10 to 15 minutes playing her in a custom game. She's fun to play. She literally is Vayne. Another Vayne. So if you like playing Vayne right now, 1, you're probably feeding your games, and 2, you're probably gonna feed on this champion, but 3, it'll give you a similar feel to that champion. I think Vayne gives you a more holistic like AD feel, where it's like all that I am is my crossbow and my skill, whereas this champion, there's more buttons than you being able to like tumble right click the enemy player. So you got a little bit more to work with. And so personally, I would say that I probably prefer this champion a little bit more, because I typically like not just, you know, getting into the full like Vayne zone. But before we get too far ahead of things, let's talk about this. So basic, her passive is second skin. The basic attacks mark enemies with plasma, increasing the bonus magic damage after a few successful allies. Ruptures for a burst of damage based on target's missing health. Nearby is immobilizing effects add plasma. Okay, cool. So 4-stack passive. So a surprise to no one that stuff like this exists. Okay. Cathy and Rain. Release a swarm of missiles evenly distributed upon nearby enemies. When additional hits on the same target deal slightly reduced damage. With enough bonus attack damage, rain significantly more missiles. This does... This looks pretty underwhelming, but I think it generally, when you're playing the champion, feels relatively fluid. Like, because you'll pretty much end up being able to like connect with this ability, Void Seeker, which pretty much one of the longest range basic abilities in the game, and it applies a stack of your passive. And you'll understand the passive is important because anything that's applied with your passive, you could dash to. And anywhere in this circle. So you get to choose the exit destination and they don't get to know about it. And since you move so quick, it's pretty much like, you know, assassinate you. On top of that, you get a shield, which is great because as the type of player who likes to play these types of champions, you'll need the shield a lot when you dive in recklessly. Her E is pretty much... I just think of her E as an invisibility tool. But it's pretty much just attack speed or move speed, right? It's move speed into attack speed, and it grants full visibility with enough bonus attack speed. So I would think of it as Vayne tumble. You can't, and you just can't break out of the tumble duration, right? Because with Vayne, you have invisibility. You can break out a little bit earlier, or you can wait the full duration. This time, like you don't want to break out because you can't attack, right? But then you get huge benefits for doing this. Do I think that with the old charge up that it's a better mid jungle? No, and jungle is gonna be garbage. But I'm sure someone's gonna try it. One of the interesting things is that she has living weapon, which is her other passive. You can upgrade your abilities based on stats that you have. It's kind of how Riot's trying to do late game scaling on this champion, and so once you hit a certain point into the mid game, you can get more damage with more AD, true damage with attack, or true invisibility with attack speed, or a meme ability if you're mid lane with AP, because it's gonna be guard. I would probably not advise people to go AP, but maybe there's a build with it that works. But you can upgrade multiple ones of these, which is going to be kind of cool. And her play pattern when she dives in is essentially going to be she W's from long range, ulties in, and then like pretty much auto Q into E or auto E into Q, right? Playing as Kai'Sa. Great explanation, right? Q'd in. Took the invis. Took the other Q. Wait, I hope that's not the full clip. Oh, did she have the Q? Wait, why'd she leave? Ah. I think the first clip is a good example of how you're looking to assassinate someone. With you W in, you Q, soften them up, you auto a bit, you E to reposition, you come out with attack speed, move speed buffs, and then your Q comes off cooldown again. You bork them in between as they try to run away. Really good example of how you play the champion. So pretty much this is a champion where this is an entirely fan service skin. We all know it. Even Ryan knows it. This is gonna sell like hotcakes. But yeah, so I think a lot of players have been wanting more aggressive ADs, stuff like Lucian, stuff like Vayne. Players love playing champions like this. Will this champion be good? Honestly, probably not. Similar to any other champion with like relatively short range. I don't know if I have much hopes for champions like this, but she's gonna be fun, and I think that that's all that matters. Hopefully in the future, definitely in the future where range becomes like maybe less people buy rapid fire, or maybe that she comes out with like really good numbers, better numbers than I expect. She could be good, but I think that she's gonna be like, essentially, if you like playing Vayne right now, she's another Vayne champion that can play that you can have fun on. I was gonna use a different word, but I think that there haven't been enough of those champions, because the thing is, most ADs feel very tied to their support, and I think that generally that's just gonna be true. But champions like Vayne and Lucian, for instance, are champions that tend to break that mold, and this is definitely one of those types of champions that breaks that mold as well.